Yeah, looks like we're good to go. That can't do that. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Hope everybody had a good holiday weekend last weekend. Did a pretty good job. So, I'm going to work on one of those kind of things that's a little out of the ordinary in some ways. We'll go square instead of round. Well, sort of square. Working on these again because I'd like to really kind of like to teach this as a class. I just can't. I haven't quite got it where I want it. Do it that way. So this is a piece of 2 inch or a little bit less than 2 inches, I think, probably, of ash. And this is actually 2 inches. But I'm sure the top up here is not quite kosher. Not parallel. This hasn't been planed. This is like sawmill cut 8/4 ash. So that will be a difference. That should be long enough. Or will it? No, it won't. Go along. Could actually probably even use the. I just got a new one. I got a new one from Trent Bosch. Maybe we'll try that. I really have to watch with this one because it's a little bit different than I'm used to, and I really have to make sure I get it tight because of the post. But it is very long. It's a 13-inch rest. It will be the longest rest that I actually have. And it's not quite go underneath. And for now, we'll just back it up beyond that. I want to use a little tailstock support. Just want to get started here. And we could probably go there with a dust hose. Make a little bit more sense, maybe. I normally start out sharpening, but I was messing around with the piece down here the other day. So we'll give this a little whirl. This piece might actually be troublesome because it's not kind of solid and a little bit missing over here. So I think that might be our place to start on this one. I normally don't start out here though. But in order to get it in balance, That might have balanced it. It's still not there. The other thing we can do, so we can mark where that edge is at, sort of the whole way around. This is probably going to have a little bit bigger wings on than what maybe I normally would do. Just make it a little different. The really hard part about doing these is, okay, that'll work, it's on that line. You can't necessarily always see exactly what you're doing. Kind of make a curve. I can go back to that one, I guess. Okay, let's get most of that going. So let's flatten out our bottom. This thing here where we need a pennant. The rest out there really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Just needs to be flat in there. And we got to think about what size foot we're going to use. Probably the bigger. I don't. Wish I had a chuck in between. Because we either go to there, and we go out to these big 4-inch ones. I just think that's a little bit big in some ways, a lot of ways. So if our foot's way out here, we'll go to the 3 and 3/8, whatever they consider that one. So, see, dumb tool rest. Okay, we're not gonna, definitely not gonna grab onto a really deep penning. I only want a little itty bitty foot on it. About 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more. Be more than enough. I think. And probably should have some sort of mark out here. Maybe like a 1/2 inch or something. Can always take more off. We can't put it back on. Would have been easier to mark this before. Somewhere out in there. Because I don't know whether this is parallel to the bottom. I probably could spin the tool rest around. It'd probably be a good thing to actually do. But it's more fun this way. I'm going to switch tool rest though. These are just a little bit too long for the job. I still will stick with a fairly long one. I want to go in on a bit of an angle. You can sound a bit like a propeller trying to take off on you. And see what I'm trying to do. See, I'm already down to that one. Down to that one. Got a little torn grain there. That's so there too. So let's dig this deeper. Cut it cleaner that time. Yep, a little bit left there. A little bit left there. Some bug holes. Not worried about them at this point. Got a pretty good amount of curve to it. I like when they curl up, but I think we'll get rid of the tailstock so I can get in here and do the bowl part. Because right now I have an awful sharp corner out there. I don't really want that. This is one of these projects. Just make sure you spin before you turn on. Life could be exciting in a big hurry. Gotta get down to the turn fast. Thank you, Cody. I could have guessed. The little wounded boy. Okay. So that's pretty much cleaned up. A little bit in there where I did it with a parting tool. Clean that up a little bit. Before I go any further, we're going to try and check, without smacking my fingers, of course, where the top edge, how closely it is. One is definitely sticking out a bit further than the others. Not too bad though. So we can go up higher here, up into there. That's pretty shallow, which is unfortunately they usually. If you started with some a little bit thicker material, it would probably be better. Nice little light, gentle cut. Handles way down low. And give us sort of a nice feeling cut up across there. We're not in a hurry, so just take our time. You're always going to get a little fuzzy edges. It's still a rough cut anyhow, so you always have to go back and sand these edges. They'll always be on two, usually on two sides. It's going to want to chip a little bit for you. I did this in an ash because I think I'm going to, it works out okay. I'll put some dye on it and try and do some green fill to it. At least some of it. A really bright idea to only do the top part of the wings and then leave the center natural wood. Just gotta keep in mind it's once you get out on these wings, I'd love to get underneath that hole, but the further up I go, the less curve I have. Okay, got rid of the big, still has some other ones, but that's just gonna have to live with that. I think that's good enough for the wings. Take it down thin when we get to the top. Gotta get in there and clean up some of that though. Parting tool just does not do the job in there close to the tenon. Got some chunks out of it. Well, let's try the trusty old scraper in there. Got some, maybe there's a little bit of soft grain or something there. It's want to pick, sort of wanted to pick it out a little bit. Don't. One thing with these, do not move that tool rest when it's running. That rest around there, and that corner is within an inch of my finger. And it would not be very nice. You would definitely be saying a few words. Okay. Sure, that's better. Got it smooth enough out there. Make a little light cut here. Right into that corner. Sort of try and leave a nice, sharp, crisp corner in there. I believe we were fairly successful. Can always go in this way. Just sort of caress the surface a little bit, if that's good terminology for it. That's good. So I think we're going to try and dye this. I think I'm going to thin just yet. I'm going to pop it off, flip it around, we'll do the wings into sort of the bowl part of it. Let's see where it goes from there. Okay. So switch over to the big chuck to grab a hold of this tenon. Thumb in the middle. Good pressure. It's going to leave marks on there, I'm sure. We'll sort of put it parallel to where we're going. And we can sort of look straight down over the top. Let's sort of guess about where that center bowl part's going to be. It's just a good place to start. Better place to start is to actually clean this up. And then we'll have a better idea. We'll clean the whole way around, so that's good. Tiny bit right there in that corner. But we want these out here to be around 1/4 of an inch thick. Somewhere thereabouts. Let's clean up this in here a little bit. I want to speed it up some more. I like to speed it up some more anyhow, put it that way. This makes it easier to cut out here on these wings. Faster it goes. Actually, let's try the 40-degree gouge once on that and see what it does. This one doesn't necessarily like to go into end grain, but we'll try it. Gives me a little bit nicer of an angle. Nah, it ain't gonna work. It's hitting too much end grain. Some woods can be quite loud doing this too. Ash is one of them. So at about 3/8, we're also getting fatter as we go down. I want to leave as much material down here as long as I possibly can, so these don't flex. I think we're doing all right so far. Might have to go down. And our cutting bevel. Over. About 3/8. I'm going to say. That's about 5/16. I like to go just a shade bit thinner would be better, I do believe. These are kind of hard to get your body in the right place. and not make a ton of noise. I haven't been doing a whole lot of turning the last couple weeks, so you always have a tendency to have a little bit heavier hand than what you need to. I think that's a good thickness. We're pretty much even by the looks of it. So we just have to get down to where we match up down there. And make that a little easier by going straight in. Way I'm not fighting the end grain. It is dry ash, burning my fingers. Chips coming off there are quite warm. Closer, but no cigar. Nope. This bowl gouge is a little bit, the flat back bowl gouge is a little bit harder to get to go straight in. If I go straight in, the wind could grab back here. This is too high, I think. This is what's called designing go. I'll switch over my spindle gouge, see if I can get that. That'll definitely go straight in there. And that's the ridge, but just trying to get it to where actually looks pretty good down there. So just a little bit of cleanup there. Reining that corner sharply. And just contemplating something. I put a bead up here. Not sure I like that though. Definitely give me a little deeper of a bowl. Decisions. Because I now want to go slopping the dye around. Mm. I think we might just go for it, see what it does. I get my block sander to sand that edge. Great if it would lock in place at the right place, but it won't. Of course not. It would have probably been better off if I would have taken the 2 seconds out and run it across the joiner. It would have had a smoother surface. Doesn't have to be perfectly smooth because you're gonna dye it and fill in the grain. So if there's any little saw mark scratches in there, you'll just fill them in, and you really usually can't see them. The average person won't see them, put it that way. Let's keep one thing in mind, working with any of this kind of stuff. The more you cut, the more you sand, the sharper the edge becomes. You're getting rid of that little fuzzy edge there, but it also means it sharpened it right up. Course first, it's like 180, 220. We'll hit them a little bit more. Right now, that's good. Now we'll give it a sand. And I was working on another one like this, and you're able to actually go in here and actually power sand this, which is kind of interesting to be able to do. Might actually be able to do both sides of the wings. You certainly can. It's only 180. Certainly can do these probably just as easy, maybe even a little bit safer if you just do them by hand for the most part, especially out here on these corners. Once again, if you catch them, while it's spinning, usually doesn't come out real well.
When we spin, we're going to spin pretty slow. Not quite as slow as I normally would, though. We're just going to use the bottom part of the pad. Nice, gentle touch. And these I'm not worried about. I'll can stand up by hand. Problem here is I gotta watch that it don't hit the wing. Just stop and take a peek. Dust the dirt off. Not getting quite down into that corner. I might have to do just a little bit of the hand sanding in that corner. As you can see, I can't get my fingers in there without getting smacked. Yeah. And then 2 more grits and we'll call it good enough. Yeah. At least if it just catches the edge of it, at least it just knocks the sandpaper off rather than takes a chunk out. That'll work. Now, before I go over, I'm going to take 800 grit and just knock this sharp corner off the front.
See if we have any gloves. Nope. I think this one here, we're going to do the really bright blue. I was quite tickled with the really bright blue on the ice cream scoop I did a couple weeks ago. I think if we do the bright blue, maybe even do a two-tone blue or something thereabouts. See what stripes are fancy. And we got room in here. That's the wonders of some of this. We got room in here. We'll dye some of this, and then we can play around as to what color green filler we might want to use on it. This is a very, very vibrant, light, bright blue. Get a coat on. We'll go back over it probably twice because it soaks in. I try and get down in that crack there somewhat. Try and get it to where it looks uniform in color and no splotchiness. Here where we got some big grain, so we will have an idea. Probably should have sanded this whole thing before I did any of this. Do these edges. Chip out there. That's definitely a bright blue though. Okay, turn our speed down, give that a little bit of time to dry. me see, my next issue is going to be getting ahead of myself. That really is going to need shellac on it to go with it. And the airbrush is right here, so that's what we'll do. We'll give it its shot of shellac. Nice having a long hose on the airbrush, except it wants to get caught up in everything else. Mainly because there's too much stuff sitting here. I need to refill my container of shellac too. Protect our bedways a little bit. And turn our dust collector on.
Should be all we need. You just want to seal the top. It looks shiny the whole way around, so that's good. And that's going to take several minutes to dry. I'm going to take that out. Set this over here off to the side while that dries. It actually kind of already looks neat. It made the open parts of the grain almost turn black. So a little grain filler in there. It might do wonders for it. But while that dries, if I have the big jaws on there, which is that, yeah. go ahead. I never finished the inside of this one as far as sanding goes. So I think we'll do that. Now we're set up to sand. I have some super glue down in here that I had to fill in some cracks. I'm not going to go to the soft pad just yet. Not French. I get rid of the clumpy areas of super glue. Before we go any further. This probably can use the 3-inch disc rather than a 2-inch. Would make the job a little easier, a little quicker. It almost looked like there was some big hairy looking lines in there. There is some in there. Kind of hard when I get in there. I got to be careful because this thing can come around and smack you pretty good. Nothing says that we have to spin it to do this work. It's a little bit deeper than what it should be. So in order to get down in there, just a little bit safer. Keep the fingers intact. There's some little ripples in there. You can also, I hate to go back. I hate to go too coarse on sandpaper. There. This is a piece of hackberry. This stuff is quite hard. Other place it's always good to sand by hand up around these top corners, top edge in general. Definitely didn't do myself any favors up in that area. I can see lines, I can feel ripples. So, step back one more grit. I thought. Yeah. Just trying to get rid of any evidence of tool mark. Kind of a situation of what sort of whatever it takes to do that. In this case, it's taking 100 grit sandpaper. I probably in all aspects, I probably should have tried to spin it to see whether it was moved, which it probably has because it's been sitting around here a couple of weeks. If it was true enough, I could probably have went after it with a scraper or something a little bit along those lines. I think that's good. To get rid of tool marks, and all we're doing is getting rid of scratches from the previous grit, so the rest of it should go, yep, go fairly quickly. I don't normally necessarily stand on this side of the bowl, but it seems like I'm able to see where my drill is in reference to its outside edge a little better. It's keeping me from hitting it and not hitting my fingers, of course. Guess I'll make this the last one. Trying to get my finger smacked. We're at 400, so I'm going to go back along this edge. Because I know that's where you'll miss stuff. That looks pretty good. Last thing, I'm going to take a little bit of 800 and just go over this little edge. I'm not really trying to break that corner over much, but right now it's actually very sharp. I'll do it inside and out. You don't want somebody to pick this thing up and they want to try and cut their fingers. That's that. Feels like our shellac is pretty close to being dry, but while I got this here, I might as well put the coat of finish on the inside. While I'm at it. Save me a little bit more trouble down the road. And we'll give her a typical coat of 3408. One done. Start on the end ring. Does have some character to it with the dark streaks in it, but otherwise it's kind of plain. Very good soaking. We have 40 seconds to get this done, so we don't need to really rush too much. We can't come back. This one here, we can't come back over it a second time. Just doesn't work. If it can't soak in, it doesn't know what to do, and it'll just beat up like a little wax car in a rainstorm. Trying to get all the excess off the surface. It just what went below soaked into the wood. Definitely going to have an area right in here where we're going to have to sand a little bit by hand after the fact, because I filled it with super glue, so that already sealed up those pores right there. So it doesn't know what to do. It's sitting on the surface a little bit right there, and it'll dry quicker that way too. So no matter what you do to it, you're almost better off to just not mess with it too much. Just let it bead up, and then we'll sand that little bit off with some 800 grit sandpaper. It only takes a couple seconds to do it, and then you give it a buff. Now we can go back to our project at hand. Certainly not my best ever, but gets by. So that feels like it's dry. We didn't have the back sanded, so we're going to sand that first. There we go. Not used to using recesses on things. So we'll give this a sand pretty much in the same fashion we did the inside. The outside's a little bit easier because they're curved away. The only question is, we'll try it with the hard pad. The dust collector though. Could just switch the drill in reverse. As it stands, this is coming this way, and the drill was actually, when I'm doing that, it's going the same direction. Good. Sound is too loud. Okay. Now let me go over here and turn that down. Yeah, getting up into the red. Turn it down a little bit more. Is that better right now? It's still going into the red. How about now? Okay, thank you. I'll try the soft pad ones. It seems like it wants to get in that crack on the back side here. And don't get out too far. At least it's a pad, not my fingers. Yeah, I'll see what it looks like. Definitely some light areas right up against there. That's thrilling. Make a little bit of hand sanding right there. Take care of them. Probably the hardest part about doing these is getting into this little crack area in here. I think we'll go for it at that. Just a trial piece anyhow, sort of. So we can suit it back up here and we'll turn this side blue, give it a coat of shellac, and then we can flip it around. Let's do some grain filling on the other side. Get all the dust away. Definitely liking this color blue though. It's definitely much different than the other two blues that I have. Very bright. So I'm going to try and get in there tight to that tenant that may or may not go away eventually. Yeah, this is the same blue that I did the ice cream scoop with. It's quite bright. I think if this comes together the way I want it to, I think this will be a pretty interesting looking piece. Because we're going to have color and grain fill on the back and the wings on the front. And the inside will do just natural wood. I think that looks neat myself, but try and get it nice uniform color. Probably could have, should have, maybe sprayed a little bit of denatured alcohol on it before I started putting the color on.
Not quite sure. I just heard a ding. I'm not sure what that was from. So we'll give that a second or two to dry. It really doesn't, probably really doesn't need to dry actually at all, or hardly at all. It's alcohol based, so it only takes a couple, less than a minute for it to really dry. Shellac is going to take a little longer than that. I think I lost my little ring on the. It's like sort of a uniform kind of a shine. Hmm. Should be a little snap ring on that airbrush. It done fell off. Hmm. What do you expect? $20 made in China airbrush. Not gonna last forever. Things hit the floor so many times it's a wonder. Well, actually, it's even super glued back together because I broke it at one point. So I guess now the challenge is one thing's for sure. When you put it on, put the shellac on, it's still a tiny bit sticky right there, but it's not stick to your fingers kind of sticky. So I'll switch chucks once again, and then we'll put some figure out what color we're going to put on the other side. You don't need face shield for this job. So now we'll see what the mic's doing now. It's probably not, well, maybe just loud enough. Now, I'm not going to do anything up there, so let's just, it doesn't want to change. Of course not. Go over there, get the hose out of the road. Little dust, not going to hurt anything. Got to get a clean glove. got a little test area here that we can play around with, see what colors we might want. Of course, the dust sticks to the wings. Okay. I don't think the iridescent ones, the chameleons, I don't think they would work on this. It's already blue. Copper might be interesting. Always purple. There's always another blue. I think the blue would be in our best interest, though. Thinking copper for some reason. Of course, you didn't get enough shellac on there, so it didn't seal it. Hmm. Purple. The boss has spoken. I was thinking that, but yeah, it's copper, but yeah. Okay, purple's it. Oh my. I think that was a good choice there, honey bunny. You can't see because I can't bring you in close enough on that one. Yeah, I'm not gonna, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get you a view that you're actually gonna be able to see. You'll just have to wait. I'll bring it upstairs, but kind of a little bit too small of an area for one. Now, the light's not hitting it in the right place either. kind of fun stuff to play with, though. I do enjoy playing with this stuff. It gives you some really neat effects. I thought it was the whole way around that ring, and it didn't. Okay. A little hard to see, even for me, standing right in front of it. Some places where it got sloppy, but I think that's the got that side done. Please, if I can get it to show. Camera still is not going to show it. Maybe you'll be able to see it a little bit. We'll go ahead and do the back quick. I get this mounted up here. Try not to get this stuff all over my keyboard. If we go to that. Yeah, about. That's about as far in as I can get without losing half the picture. Hopefully this time you should be able to see it better. Maybe. Now this is still not really. You'll just have to be patient. That's why I don't think I did this as a demonstration one Wednesday night. It doesn't, the camera does not pick this up very well. Maybe if it was a little bit different, a brighter, more contrasting color. This is definitely a contrast, but not. Okay. It's kind of what I figured I was hoping that it would do. Definitely looks neat up close and personal. I can tell you that. It's definitely might have been able to use some of the. We did get the whole way around there. Might have been able to use some of those chameleon ones too. I don't know. Have to try another one. Probably could have just stuck with a simple little bowl instead of something with wings on it for something like this. Definitely gonna be some places I'm gonna have to go back. This stuff is I think a mineral spirits based. So there's places out here along this edge where I did the top edge. You won't be able to really see them, but there's like a purple streak to where it dried and I didn't get it wiped off. But what I found with this, even as long as I don't seal it, which I'm not going to tonight, then you can go back with a little bit of paint thinner, even once it's totally dry, and wipe off any of these areas that I don't like. Yeah, well, it's already dry. Camera just does not pick up that purple color though. Kind of weird that it doesn't, but it doesn't. The other thing is when you start messing with those grain fillers, and there's another place there I can see some little sanding scratches. So it's fine enough to fill those little sanding scratches in too and just sort of highlight them for you. It's not necessarily what you want, but does what it does. Yes, sir. I started out as a piece of 8/4, turn square, left square. Like I say a little bit of mineral spirits takes that in them goopy places, takes them right off. I think that's we're gonna call it good enough for tonight. Let that stuff dry. Guess it would have been better if I left my glove on. Now I end up probably with purple on my fingers. And switch back to back overhead. See if I can get this one to pick up. Get this chuck on the road. Get that down in there. I say that looks better on the back side. And we'll zoom in up close and personal. Still really doesn't back up just a little bit. Still doesn't do it justice on the camera. Needs a little bit more attention. Now that I got it spun around, I've missed some in here a little bit. Probably not necessarily the greatest design to do the grain fill on. It's too hard sand in some of them places. But we'll let it dry. Come back to it another day. Because there's places up here I sort of missed some grain. There's also some goopy spots. So I'll still be able to go back another day or even next weekend and come back and hit some of those areas again and get it to where I think it looks better. Looks look better if it's sitting in the middle, I guess. Definitely looks different. Definitely needs some little touch ups here and there, but other than that, I think that's going to be about it for us till next week. Yeah, next week. Yeah, I don't have no classes for 2 more weeks, so until next week, y'all have a good week, and we'll try and do something exciting next weekend. Till then, have a good week. And well, for me, work week starts tomorrow. So, but yes, y'all have a good week.